Welcome to Mavens of Data. This week we're speaking with Ravit Jain, founder of The Ravit Show. Here he covered future-proofing your career, how AI is taking analytics from reactive to proactive, and how to stay up to date on AI. Hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome, Ravit. Thank you so much for joining.
Pleasure is all mine, Christine. I think, first of all, great show that y'all have put together and great work that Maven Analytics is doing with the community, sharing different courses. And obviously, I've been following Maven Analytics for like years now. So it's obviously good to see all the great work that y'all have been doing in now also starting this live show with experts and bringing in guests like us to share our experience, what we've been seeing in this space. So excited to be here, Christian.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So excited to have you. I mean, whether I'm chatting with you at a conference or on LinkedIn or on a Zoom meeting, I always love there's like certain ways in which I look to you as a mentor when it comes to different things. So for the people who do not know you, can you share just a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. I'm Ravit Jain, founder and host of The Ravit Show. If you've not seen me, I am active on all channels, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere you might see me interviewing the brightest minds in the data and AI. I've spent, a few years at least building the community around analytics, AI, and data engineering as well. So the idea when we started The Ravit Show was obviously to bridge that gap between consuming interesting content from those community leaders, but also the enterprise leaders who are in this space. And that's why we started the show. Now we are obviously on multiple channels. It's almost a 1 million big data AI community that we have. We have newsletters. We have our conference coverage. You might find me and Aditi, obviously, who's the co-founder as well, at various conferences to cover a good ground about the latest announcements in the data and AI space. So my journey obviously started with a passion for storytelling and simplifying complex topics, and love to obviously chat with leaders in this space. So my passion kind of also became my full-time business. But at the same time, media business is something what I've always loved, because you get to obviously stay at the forefront of all the innovations and announcements that are happening in this space. And that's what I do in the data and AI space. So that's a little about me.
Awesome. Yeah. No. And when you say we can find you everywhere, like literally everywhere. So you're going to be at Gartner next week. Every time I see you, you are someplace else. And so from all of the interviews that you have been having with other people, what do you think is the most significant ways that AI is changing analytics?
So I think, a lot of ways how AI is actually changing analytics. To be honest, AI is taking analytics from like the reactive to proactive. Instead of just looking at dashboards and reports, I think businesses can now get you the real-time insights, automate decision making, and also even predict what will happen next, right? So I kind of feel like AI is also making analytics more intuitive, like talk about natural language queries, automated insights, and also giving you personalized recommendations. So that is something which AI is kind of changing for the analytics space, but making it much better, making it easier for everyone to engage with data. Now you can be a little more smarter in terms of if you have to go out and get all the analytics real time, you can actually use AI or implement AI into your systems, and the game of analytics changes as compared to what we were doing maybe 4 years back. So this is like the innovation that I'm kind of seeing in the analytics space when you kind of think about AI changing a few things in it.
Right. I agree because, like you said, it's not that we couldn't do a lot of these things before. I mean, LLMs have only been the last couple of years, but in general, a lot of the business problems we've been able to solve for a long time.
Sure.
but it took a lot longer, right? So now we're able to do these things. It's easier to get real-time insights than it was before. Like I've played with different platforms where you can grab data and get, and as somebody who's not a software engineer myself, it's more available, it's in our hands, and then it opens us up to be able to look at, those deeper questions that maybe we just wouldn't have had time to get to before, because solving the, big business use cases just took such a long time. So to hop right into sort of, one of the big main questions for this episode, how much of an analyst's job do you think is going to stay the same, and what do you think is likely to change?
See, what I feel is like the core thinking won't change. Understanding the business problem, asking the right questions, and even interpreting insights will always be crucial. So that's not going anywhere. People ask me and tell me that, does our job change completely? No, that's not going to happen. I think the core thinking won't change. What's shifting is, one needs to understand, is the manual work, like data cleaning, report generation, and even some level of pattern recognition are being automated. So, which is the good news, I think, because analysts used to face, they used to think that is like one of the biggest challenges that we were seeing in terms of the time, the consumption. Like we've obviously seen, for analysts, 80% of the time kind of goes into data cleaning. So that thing is kind of changing. Obviously, AI is kind of helping you make your data better, much more cleaner. So the manual work, I think, is kind of getting reduced. Analysts, obviously, who embrace AI will definitely spend less time on repetitive tasks and more time on strategy, storytelling, decision making. I think that is like the business level goals that you will also achieve at the same time if you're kind of embracing AI, and which has been a big question, right? If I used to talk to, say, analysts, say 5 years back or 7 years back, it used to be where we've spent so much time data cleaning, we've spent so much time report generation or pattern recognition. It is a challenge for us to think about the business goals. How do we even think about what we actually need to achieve? Because we're just stuck into these manual tasks. So this is the time where AI is making your job much more faster. It's not changing your core thinking, so don't worry about that. It's just helping you get better at the things where you were actually taking a lot of time, a lot of manual work that you were doing. So that is what I feel like the analysts who are kind of already embracing here, they are actually spending less time on the repetitive tasks that they were doing earlier.
100% agree. And we've already been seeing this evolution, right? Like I remember 15 years ago, if I was going to do text analysis, I was manually stemming words and I was saying, what I wanted. And then a couple years later, it's like Pandas profiling comes out. And instead of having to manually code how I'm going to do my EDA, I can type one function and it's not the whole thing, but it's at my fingertips in a way that it wasn't before. And I feel like anytime we've gotten new software that made our job a little bit easier, all it did was open us up to higher level projects that we can work on and just helping us speed up the process, but never, I feel like over the last 15 years, there's been multiple times where I've been worried that a tool was going to make me redundant. But again, I think it just means that we need to focus more on what is the business problem, because the business still doesn't understand, certain aspects of statistics. They don't understand what they need to solve the problem. They just know the problem that they want solved. And we still need to direct the AI to hey, we want you to do this, and here's the parameters, and you have to have the understanding of, what it is you're trying to solve and how it needs to function so that you can direct it.
So true. I think, one thing to add here is, Christine, what we've been seeing is like a lot of people might have reached out to you as well and tell that, okay, with the AI tools that we are using, do you think our jobs will be taken away? Then, to be honest, in the last 4 years, we've seen so many tools kind of coming into the game, but it has just made the productivity of analysts better as compared to them replacing it with a tool, right? So we need to understand that thing pretty clearly, that it is just going to make your job much more productive. It will give you that acceleration that you were looking out for. And that always happens, like you said, in every new tool that comes into the game. It will just obviously at first the worry is it going to take a job? But then the second thing, once you kind of start using it, you feel like, okay, it has actually taken up some of our tasks which were actually taking a lot of time. So it's that easy as it can look like and sound like with AI as well.
Yeah. And so do you think this is going to make this AI is going to make like these analyst jobs more accessible to less technical people?
100%. Like there's no doubt about it, because what I kind of feel is like AI is definitely lowering the barrier to entry. Because what happens here is, if today you ask me that, Ravit, can you go out and solve a few tasks that data analysts were doing previously, which could be about coding. So what I say is, at least the basic coding can be done through maybe the plain English. You don't need to know SQL or Python to ask a chatbot about your sales trends, right? You can easily go out in plain English, ask a question, and you'll actually get it. There's obviously agents that can also get your work done, but other tools like ChatGPT, say in Excel, Google's Gemini is another good example, and obviously AI copilots in BI platforms also allow business users to interact with data in plain English. So I think that is like the level of reach where we have kind of gone out at, where we can, like, at least what I see is like, you don't need to worry about, you don't need to always have the technical background, like a little bit for sure. If you kind of get into the depth of the projects, you definitely need it. So it's like I always say this, it's like turning everyone into a citizen analyst, that now you remember we used to call the data a citizen data a scientist. It's kind of similar to that, which is citizen analyst. And now the things have been kind of become much more easier, much more accessible. And that's the thing where I kind of feel like you don't need to worry, or to have like in-depth technical knowledge. If it's about the basics, you can definitely, that hurdle has been crossed through these tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The basics have been sort of figured out, and then there's always I refer to it as like the cookie cutter stuff, right? Like the things that are the same are sort of going to be figured out, and then there's always going to be these niche problems that are going to be
100%.
more difficult to get at. There's not going to be a tool that necessarily solves for them because they're specific to your business, or right, because they're solving for what's going to be able to get them the largest number of customers, not to solve for everybody. So it is like this interesting place of like democratization. And so how do you think this AI is going to enable real-time analytics for us? And why is that important for business?
So, if you would have asked me this question almost say 5 years back, real-time analytics used to be a luxury back then. Now it's a necessity. AI processes, massive amounts of data instantly, allowing businesses to respond in the moment itself. And that obviously, if I kind of go out and ask a AI tool, I need the answers very quickly, pulling it from various data. So real-time analytics kind of play a very important role there. So whether it's about say fraud detection in bank or personalized shopping recommendations, or even optimizing supply chains. I think real time insights drive smart, faster and smarter decisions. So I think that is something pretty important.
I do think it's an important point too, though. Like when we're talking about real time analytics and we're talking about querying with natural language, and I have played with SAP's new tool for querying with natural language. At the same time, I wonder how many of these companies are actually going to be adopting this like now? Because when I talk to a lot of companies or when I take on projects, there are things that I'm still expected to do in Excel. There's, I think, right? Like, so we have this technology, but I mean, do you have any thoughts on, and sorry, I didn't give you a heads up that I was going to go in this direction, but like,
No worries.
For the analyst who's going to be looking for like their first job, is this something that they need to be thinking about in the next year, in the next 2 years? Because yes, it exists, but I don't think it's yet fully adopted. Well, I know it's not fully adopted.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, anyone who's starting off definitely needs to have that a little bit of, where there's, where you need to be active, but you also need to be present. So if you have that presence that, okay, I know this is the next step for me to, actually get into something which might be might be a good way to get into the the data analytics space, or I will do better in my role. I think knowing it is always a good deal as compared to and this might not be the answer for everyone, because this it might depend on person to person, right? When you're thinking about a role as well or a roadmap, it just depends on how you kind of think about things or how you're looking at the data analyst role as well. So I feel I'm pretty sure that's not the answer you were looking for. It's where I'm kind of sitting on the fence, but still I feel like if you can know things beforehand, it's always better.
Mm-hmm. Right. And people are mentioning that Copilot is integrated in Excel nowadays. I mean, it certainly wasn't expected of me to use it when I was using it recently for a project. But can you tell us what these capabilities in Excel look like?
Yeah. So you also know that Excel now has ChatGPT like capabilities, right? So Excel is becoming more of a conversation like conversion partner, I would say, than just a spreadsheet tool, right? You can now ask it to summarize data. You can ask to build formulas. You can also ask to generate insights without writing complex logic, which used to be a task at least 10 years ago, even 3 years ago, I would say. Not even 10 years is a long time. Like even 3 years ago, it used to be like, oh, you're kind of going out and finding different formulas. You're kind of going out and seeing different syntaxes, right? Now it has changed the game. It's making, I would say, Excel more powerful for everyday users. You don't need to worry about the Excel guru to analyze trends or anything anymore. So I feel that is like the capabilities that Excel now has, like ChatGPT, which is another good tool to be across for sure.
Okay. And so what advice would you give to analysts who are looking to future proof their career, knowing that this is sort of the way that we're heading?
Good question. First of all, obviously you need to make sure that you're very curious about things. AI is evolving very fast, so you need to keep up with all the learning. I know it is hard. Maybe shows like these could help. Experiences that maybe Christian, you have, I have. Listening from the community is something very important. So you have to stay curious. I can never say that I am all I'm all good with AI now. I know everything, because maybe the time we are talking, there's a new announcement that has gone out, and we need to keep up with that as well. So stay curious, be adaptable, obviously, embrace new tools instead of fearing them, which is a very important thing in our space. Because until and unless you use it, you don't know the capabilities, and it could be where the tool actually is a game changer for what project you're working on. And maybe some other tool is good for another project that you're working on. So you need to obviously be adaptable to newer tools as well. What I also say is develop soft skills, like which is very important. Talk about communication, problem solving, strategic thinking will obviously set you apart. It's like basic things which we kind of start thinking about when we are kind of just focused on, oh, I need to do so much in AI, I need to learn more about the tools and everything, but we forget about the basic things, which is soft skills. So that is something pretty important. I also feel like you don't need to just analyze things. You can rather go into a direction where you can interpret. Businesses need people who can turn data into action as compared to just analyzing things. So it's time to interpret things. And I think these are like a few things which kind of helps analysts who are looking to have like a future proof into their career and in the AI driven world where we are.
I love that. Because it shows like these, right? Like we've probably already mentioned a number of tools. So then you have an idea of what's coming down the pike. And a lot of what I've learned too about like statistical techniques that we don't use anymore, I've actually learned from Twitter. And then I bring it back. And if I was just living in my work bubble, I'd still be using the same techniques and not keeping up with industry. But at the same time, right, I think we don't want to focus on the tools too much. We need to know that they exist. But you can absolutely get like tool fatigue if you are chasing down every new tool that keeps up. Like it's impossible to play with all of them, but you do want to play with some of them if you think it's going to eventually be relevant to your job. And I mean, I can't even list the number of times where I have learned something from social media and then later been able to bring it up in an interview. And now it's like, yes, I didn't formally learn it in school, but it's something that's like now in my arsenal that I can speak intelligently about. And it has like really helped me. And then I also love that you talked about how communication sets you apart. Exactly. Even in my recent previous roles, when I'm managing a team, I had like some pretty senior level data scientists, and the business was like, hey, we're going to have the project managers manage gathering the requirements and like doing this scoping. And it was because they truly believed that the data scientists didn't have the skills to work with the business themselves.
So true.
When you have more people, you like the process gets blown up. If you are the type of person who can manage that on your own, you are now like really setting yourself apart. And it is like, it's career security. It is, the ability to move up, because as we move up, sure, there's like a technical track often, and then there's more of the like climbing the ladder track, but that's how you get up, climb the ladder track is through, improving those business skills, really having a deep understanding of the business, being able to, because basically you're taking someone's problem, you're translating it into technical stuff, and then you got to translate it back. I think it was like Eric Sims who said that on a previous episode. I was like, yes, nice. That's it. That is it. But yeah, no, that is fantastic advice. Ravit, if people want to find and follow you, where's the best place for them to do that?
I think LinkedIn is the best place where you can stay updated with all the things that I'm doing. Most of the time I spend is on LinkedIn. I also have a newsletter, which is where you can find the ravitshow.com. You can go subscribe to the newsletter, and get all the insights. I try to go out and write newsletter every day, but then the world we are in, it is busy, but then we try to keep up with all the news and bring the best news to our data and AI professionals out there, whatever is happening in the world. Less salesy stuff, more educational stuff, which keeps people on the toes to learn more and more things. And it's just that where we want to, obviously create a community of good data AI professionals who can learn from each other as well, but also follow a page where they don't have to worry about various things that's happening. Here we read for like 2 minutes, we get all the updates. So LinkedIn and definitely the newsletter you can subscribe to.
All right, awesome. Let's head over to Q&A.
Awesome, let's do it.
All right, this is from Michael. What advice would you give seasoned professionals who are mid-stage in their career at the higher levels of data analytics and insights? And I assume that means for like the AI revolution.
I think for a fact where, and I've mentioned this in one of my answers as well, what I feel is like, and Christine, you also mentioned about it, is don't get too worried about the tools that are also in this space. You definitely need to know the tools, but then if you're overwhelming yourself with a lot of tools where, okay, this can do the data cleaning for me, this can do the data reporting generation for me, it will definitely make your manual task a little easier, but then don't do it with a lot of tools together. Find your niche, find your right tool, get started in that direction. And I don't think this is for even someone who's a seasoned leader. This could be for someone who's just getting into the game. For someone who's a seasoned leader, obviously the tools can change. Maybe it might not be around data cleaning. Maybe it might be about the report generation, which you might want to, showcase it to a client. And that report can have real-time analytics that can do your job pretty well. So maybe think about tools, but again, in a way which is don't get into all the tools, because you'll just be in a place where you'll be confused yourself. So go slow, get into the tools, but definitely have some AI game into the space, because even if you're, say you spend 10 years into your career, the next job that you're looking for will definitely ask you about the AI tools that you've used or you are very capable of using for them in the upcoming role. So that would be a good way for you to, obviously show your skill set, and that will actually be in your resume as well, where, okay, these are the new tools I'm capable to use and the AI capabilities that I can bring forward. And this kind of reduces my work time by, say, 2x, and makes it much more productive in different directions that business can, actually achieve. So I think that is like, that is not exactly the advice, but that is like the direction I would tell someone to, obviously think of if they are maybe a seasoned leader.
And I just like to add to that too. I mean, so your network is always important, but I think it's even more important when you are mid-level career. Tomorrow, if I needed a new job, I have a couple people I can call. I have, by just being part of the community and seeing what's going on, I have an idea of the different tools that I want to leverage. And as a mid-level person, you're looked to more specifically for how to solve these problems, and people are expecting that you're going to be solving them in a way that is consistent with how the industry is heading. And then plus two, you just have more options, so that if you decide that you feel more comfortable, right, there are going to be companies that are lagging behind in terms of tech. And just the more people the more it becomes possible for you to find the right fit where like just the stage where the company is at, right?
It's just like a soft skill that you might want to have it in, which is like networking and a good network of people. And I totally agree with Christine, like, nothing better than having a set of people around you that can actually also help you in your career, and you all can learn from each other as well. So I 100% agree, Christian.
All right. Awesome. So this is an interesting and different one. Elena said, do you have any tips on writing better prompts to maximize the accuracy and relevance of AI generated insights?
Okay, very interesting. What I always say is, when you're kind of thinking about writing prompts, everyone has their own unique style of writing prompts. How I kind of make it easy is, I want to think about the answer that I need. Sometimes you would, you know, say in most of the tools now, you can also set a tone of prompts that you are wanting. Like obviously, you would want a human tone. You would not want a lot of fluff in it. You wouldn't want a lot of adjectives, and wanted to actually answer it in the most simple and most human like as well. So you can also set that into the tools, but when you're writing a prompt, you can actually mention that, while writing the prompt as well, that this is what I'm looking for, this is how I need the prompt to, like the answer to look like. But at the same time, it will also understand from your tone. Like I use ChatGPT. I've been using the paid version for say last 2.5 years, and that is what has happened. What has happened is, today if I go to ChatGPT and if I write a prompt, can you tell me something about myself? And if you guys are also using it, this is a very cool trick to know about what ChatGPT thinks of you. And again, in the end, the things that you've asked over the, say what I've asked over the last 2.5 years, it has everything in there which can actually give me an understanding that how well ChatGPT understands me. And that's the AI world we are in, because now they also know what level of thinking you are, like the tool knows what level of thinking you are doing and what exactly you need. So over the time, when you're using just one tool, it will also understand from the prompts that you've given previously what you're looking at in the future, and that will actually help you create the most easiest prompt. But like I said, everyone has a unique style of putting the prompt together. There are obviously many courses out there which can tell you that, okay, this is what I'm specifically telling you, that if you do this can give you a better prompt. But what I always say is, like, try 3 different prompts or something that you're looking for and see which is the most accurate, and then accordingly have like many more prompts go into the game, and then the machine learns from itself. It also understands you and how you kind of process things. I think that's like the best way to go out with any prompt, not just one specifically.
Yeah, and I'd love to add to that. There's like a couple of things that I've learned from building an LLM powered app for consultancy. And, so we had to write the prompt template, and a lot of the things that needed to be added to the prompt template were around the specific reading level that they wanted to come out, and how do we write, because these letters are coming from your doctor. And so, the things that are sort of intuitive to me, and because I wrote a book on LLMs and there's like a whole thing about prompting in there, I don't think about it. And then I start working with people who, aren't used to speaking with a computer. And it was really interesting. So they'd have things like, make sure there's that the output shows authority like a doctor or clinician. You can't say like, because then it's going to give you something that is not a doctor or a clinician. And it's like guessing. You could get a janitor for all you know, because like you just said, like, how is the LLM defining authority for reading level? How do we define reading level, right? Because there's like probably 6 different ways. There's the Flesch-Kincaid score. There's all these different scores. So the LLM isn't, I'm sure the LLM will also too. Another thing is when I said it has to be at a 3rd grade reading level, but it also has to sound adult-like, because then it's going to talk like it's talking to a child. But really, the LLM is going to try its best, but it's not going to get there. So the way that you fix that prompt is to say, okay, like, what actually makes up a reading level? It's the number of syllables. It's using familiar words. It's the sentence length. And you start to ask about those things and get more specific. And at the same time, right, I see what I was getting back from the people who were helping was a lot of sentences that just could have been, right? Like they didn't need to be compound sentences. And it's like, you should do this. And it's like, no, you must do this. Never do this. And like making it, you don't need to worry about offending a computer, but you need to make sure that you are very direct and very clear about like what you are expecting back. And so sorry to just like take over, but I got excited for a moment.
I love it. I love it. That is how, obviously, and those are fantastic insight. And that is what, the expectation of the prompt should look like as well. Think about it very clearly, crisp, and make sure that you kind of making it that clear that it doesn't hallucinate as well, right? The hallucination obviously still happens, and that is the fact. So we're getting better, and we'll get much more better in the coming years. But you're right, Christine, for sure.
All right. Awesome. Next question. Ravit, you've mentioned soft skills like communication. With AI automating analytics and providing real-time insights, what other skills should BI analysts focus on from a data strategy perspective? How can BI teams ensure decision makers trust and interpret AI-driven recommendations?
This is a very good question. And to be honest, again, it is definitely a lot of things have been dependent on now on the AI driven recommendations as well. And you would want the business leaders or your clients to actually trust it and it can only happen when, first of all, you need to trust the AI insights that you're kind of seeing. And that can only happen when you reverse engineer things and you kind of go out while even preparing reports, you might want to go into the depth of why an AI insight, like an insight that you see, why is that saying that the sales in Q4 has kind of, obviously differs, and why has it actually gotten better from Q3? What were the reasons? And whereas the AI insights would actually give you a good in-depth study as well. But again, it depends on what you're asking, how you're asking, which tool you're using. It all depends on all those kind of things as well. So what I feel is like the skill set is about how much can you bring to the table more than just the AI-driven recommendations or the insights as well for the business leaders. And that can happen. That's where actually the soft skills kind of come into the game, right? How interestingly you can actually story tell about the data, how interestingly you can actually bring those insights to the audience out there, to the business stakeholders, because they obviously want to see the numbers. They want to see a good mix of how you're kind of presenting it and what are the reasons behind it. So I think those are some of the things which will, from a data strategy perspective as well, I think it is very important for you to put it out there in the most easy, but as well very convincingly for those decision makers to trust those AI recommendations. I don't know if I could answer that, but that's what my thoughts are. Those are my thoughts in terms of how strategic and how smart you can be from doing reverse engineering things to even getting much more in front of the business stakeholders confidently with your soft skills.
I love that because you right. We talk about communication, but it is so much more than that. Like you said, it's even the things like how good are your decks? Are they structured in a way that's really going to land, right? And like it is communication, but unless you explicitly say that that's what we're talking about, people aren't going to get that like, Oh, that's a piece of it too, right? And when we talk about strategy, this is what AI is opening us up to, is being able to do that higher level stuff. Because I've worked at companies where they will ask me to go build a model, and then you look across the business and you realize that we had $20 million in ad spend that wasn't optimized, and like marketers were spending it however they wanted. And to be able to take that step back and say, okay, we're going to look at all of the potential projects, not just what people are looking for, but what we could do. What are other pain points that we haven't necessarily thought about putting a model towards, and being that person that's going to raise your hand and bring ideas, even if they're not great ideas. I might throw out 6 ideas and maybe only 2 of them are good, but like I have a seat at the table and I'm going to put those ideas out, right? And it's also that communication piece is also building that relationship with your stakeholders. Like if your stakeholders aren't coming to your daily stand-ups, if there's friction, because there can be friction in that relationship where oftentimes, right, like the product team wants to test, they want to improve the product, and they own the decision that comes out of the analysis, that comes out of the testing. But you're the person who understands the tech underneath, who can actually do the test, who can actually do the analysis, right? And so sometimes there can be friction because they maybe want a decision to go a certain way, or they want to, even though the analysis says one thing, they want to focus someplace else. And that's often their right as the owners of that decision. But by inviting them to your stand-ups, by improving the level of communication, specifically just in that relationship, you start to get a better seat at the table, and you start to be able to make it so that they can sort of see where you're coming from when you say, hey, we don't have the sample size to run this or whatever, instead of it being like, oh, that analyst just doesn't want to do what we want to do. It's, you know, oh, we trust Kristen. She's been good to us. We have a good relationship. And like, you know, and in general, we're working well together.
Love it. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it 100%.
Oh, have you heard of any of these tools, Ravit? So this is from Preeti. She
Perplexity.
said, yeah, in the data analytics space, which AI tools do you believe are most effective? Is it Perplexity AI, Julius AI, or perhaps another tool that stands out? So what do you see as like effective tools you've heard of in the space?
Perplexity AI for sure. I've tried my hands. I know, you know, it does do a pretty good job of obviously real-time search. It also has like a research assistant that they recently launched. I know Arvind kind of comes up, who's the founder of Perplexity, kind of comes up with a great, freebies for the audience. Like research assistance is huge in this space. And also, Julius AI, I know for a fact where it's more like the conversational AI for data and analytics, and also for business intelligence. So I think it does pretty good job of, you know, connecting the BI tools, SQL databases, and also Excel for hands-free analytics. I obviously am a big fan of ChatGPT as well. I know there are many more tools who are similar and can maybe for some use cases are better as well. But I've tried hands on Perplexity. Claude is another good one which kind of comes up. Anthropic Claude is amazing if you haven't tried your hands. So definitely go for that one as well. So I think these are good tools to try. But my favorite is ChatGPT. I like Perplexity AI as well.
Okay. And Hema says, how to best stay up to date or keep up, like attending AI events with newer technology where AI is evolving every day, and you have the urge to implement the new AI tools to optimize it by learning and implementing.
Yeah, good question. I go to a lot of events. I try to keep up with a lot of things, and then, you know, by end of the day, sometimes I also feel like a lot of events also have like a lot of overlaps about the topics that are being spoken, because how much can you talk about the topic as well, right? So it can be pretty repetitive as well. So choose the AI conferences that you're going for very carefully about looking at the speakers, the agenda. Make sure that it has like a good mix of different topics. Who's talking is kind of important as well. There are obviously speakers who go at say almost all the hyperscaler conferences and they speak about a certain topic everywhere because they obviously want to cover good ground for all the audience out there. What I kind of also feel is uh, a very, I don't know if you know about it. I'm pretty sure you know it. Question is about Neural IPS conference, which is very technical
Arabs.
conference. Yes,
Yep.
Neuraps. There's another one, CVPR, which is kind of for cutting edge AI research itself. So those are like very hardcore technical AI conferences that I know of. And then there are obviously enterprise summits like AI Summit series. I've been to the one last year in New York towards the end of the year. So AI Summit in New York, it was amazingly done well. And then I also kind of do the proprietary summits. Like I'm going to NVIDIA GTC next month as well. So which is obviously NVIDIA is
Obviously,
not
NVIDIA.
only it's not only just the talk of the town for stocks, but otherwise as well. They have like good, interesting people kind of coming and
Mhm.
speaking from all across the world. So that makes it much more interesting because you wouldn't find someone coming from Taiwan every day to every other conference in the States. But there you'll actually kind of meet everyone from everywhere in the world. So those are pretty good. I do AWS reInvent as well, Google Next, Microsoft Build. So those are the hyperscaler tech giants who are kind of coming up with conferences. And sometimes you need to also know that these tech giants also kind of come up with announcements which are then kind of also distributed into startups. They kind of pick up things, and then there are new innovations that happen as well. So yeah, I think those are the good ways to kind of go to conferences, understand about the new things that are happening, and understand about the new tools, meet people, network. You get to do everything when you're thinking about conference. I feel like you can learn about tools. There are job opportunities as well. You can always go chat, network, get a job. Who knows?
Mhm.
So those are my thoughts about about attending events. It's not only just about being up to date with the newer AI technology, but otherwise as well.
Mm. I think, and that's a great list. And one that I would add is probably ODSC. And I
ODSC.
love, yeah, they're like, it's no fluff. The people that are speaking there, they are like on top of their game. And then conferences that have like workshops that are part of, like ODSC. I remember one year I took like an R workshop by somebody who was very well known for their R. And like you can just go in and sit and like open up your laptop and follow along and learn, right? Those are my fave.
Yeah, for sure.
This is an interesting one. So JS said, how much time a week do you suggest a full-time working professional, not in a role of data analyst, but uses data analytics at work, should ideally be investing to upkeep with the change in AI space?
That is something pretty interesting question. I think for a full-time professional who isn't in data analyst, I don't know how much hours do you work, but I'm assuming okay, 8 hours in a day, 5 days in a week. And what I kind of feel is like per week that you would want to give take out time from your job would be 3 to 5 hours in a week, which is a good range to stay updated without feeling it like another job, because then you would start feeling that, oh, I'm overwhelming myself. You'll start feeling burned out. So don't do that. What I also feel is like a good way to update yourself and keeping staying up to date is obviously you can go out, subscribe to a few newsletters which will give you a faster means of learning the various things that are happening. Like I mentioned about my newsletter, but there are so many other newsletters as well. Like I follow one of the newsletters that is the Batch by deeplearning.ai. Andrew Ng, we all know him. He's been a good tutor in this space. So the Batch is by deeplearning.ai. TLDR, Obviously, you can follow my newsletter. I'm happy to, always try to write as much as I can in terms of the news, what's happening in the space, who's investing where, what's happening. Start following different people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my place. People also like Twitter, which is good, like X. But I prefer LinkedIn. It's a little subtle as well. People are not that raw about their conversations. They're more subtle. So I think you can follow a few people on LinkedIn that will also help you stay updated with a few things. There's obviously people like Christian. She's creating good content, always putting out stuff, right? Go follow her and do interesting things. Watch podcasts like this. I think even spending like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, because it's not only just you listening to me and Christian, but you're also listening to all the people in the chat. What are they talking? What are they being updated about? What are they focused on? What are the projects they're working on? So that will also help you to upskill yourself. And what happens is, why I'm saying there are different things that you can do is because not everyone can be hooked to the newsletter all the time, or not everyone can be listening to the podcast all the time. So you can go out and choose your niche and feel good about, feel more motivated about learning something new. Think about also doing something like a workshop. If, say, at the start of the event, like the podcast itself, Christian, you mentioned about a free course that Maven, it's not a plug, but it's in general as well. If there are courses that you can take for free as well, why don't you want to do that? It can actually get you to the next level. You never know, maybe you know everything that's been on the course as well. Or if you learn something new, it's something to add to your resume. It's something to showcase in your business. Maybe someone from healthcare is actually now learning AI, because tomorrow there will be a lot of things in the healthcare space. There are already so many things in the healthcare space that are related to AI implementation now. So think about it that way, and I think go on a journey. Also go attend events. If you have events happening nearby, you can go and spend 30 minutes, 1 hour meeting people, smaller meetups, talk to people. I think that's the best way to learn. You learn everything so much, much more faster. But yeah, spend 3 to 5 hours in a week. If you have more time, you can even spend, I guess, 5 to 6 hours in a week for sure.
That was awesome. And I'm going to recap because you just made great points, but I just want to say them. So, right, number one, newsletters. You can join Ravit's newsletter. TLDR is a really good one, but like that comes into your email. That takes you 10 minutes to read, 5-10 minutes to read. And now you've maybe heard about some new tools you haven't heard about before. You've gotten all like the big news. LinkedIn to me feels like home, right? So like, I don't consider that time that like, that's me talking with the community. I'm reading other people's thoughts. I'm replying. And so like, yes, it's my time, but it doesn't feel like I'm investing this time in keeping up with AI. That is just where I literally hang out. And then the other thing that Ravit mentioned was projects. Like find a project, to find a way to use one of these tools that's going to actually build something that you care about. Because if you just go in and poke around for half an hour, then you can't like use that in an interview later. You can say, well, I looked at it. I don't really know how to use it or whatever, but like I opened it up, right? But like if you use it for a project, then now not only do you know the tool, but you're able to say, what you built with it. And those projects, they don't need to be done like quickly either, right? Like you can keep up with this field, just investing like a little bit of time, but be consistent, right?
True.
So Adrian asked, I don't know if you know, but how is ChatGPT changing the work efficiency in Excel? Do you have any like use cases for how you can use it?
Good question. I think a lot of ways where, ChatGPT in Excel is kind of changing the game. Obviously, like I mentioned before as well, you can generate now the complex Excel functions. It's making it easier where you just need to go out and calculate something and you need a formula. It can generate very easily. You just need to write a prompt. And it just makes your work easier. Talk about data cleaning and transformation is also another big piece of now, working in Excel with integrated ChatGPT, obviously, you can do so much in that space that can, help you to get to the next level. And the prompt can be, say, as easy as how do I clean data in Excel, where, say, where names have extra spaces and, say, inconsistent capitalization. If you kind of put that prompt, your work is done. So imagine at a level where now the data cleaning and transformation can happen in Excel itself through ChatGPT. So that is something pretty cool. What I can also think of is, advanced data analysis. That could be another very interesting use case that can um, help you with just the help of, say, the prompt. If I go out and say that how do I use index match instead of VLOOKUP in Excel, it can actually give me all the things into the game very easily, right? So imagine how easily you're kind of making things happen just through the work of prompts. So, and I think these are like a few interesting things. You can also create dashboards, pivot tables. You can go out and also say do power automate workflows with the help of just the prompts. And this works like magic. I've kind of seen, obviously, I don't do a lot of data cleaning, sorry guys, but then, or data analytics work, but then at least from a perspective that I've seen so many analysts, I meet them, I talk to them, I kind of see them using it like so easily, so magically, kind of works pretty good. So those are my thoughts. I think those are good use cases to think of, but there are many. You can go out and see out there. You'll find a lot.
I mean, if you're going to make it easier to get the functions and get documentation, like you're going, right? Thank you so much for joining, Ravit. I always love chatting with you. I love hearing your perspective today. I agreed with like all of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
It was a pleasure, Christine. You're a fantastic host, and your audience is amazing. They are all busy. They are all interactive. They have interesting questions. They didn't throw very hard questions at me, so I enjoyed it. But this was a lovely session. Keep up the great work. I'll tune in next week again for another session of yours for sure.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you again next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.